I say, ooh, baby, you're my everything. Ooh, what going on with you? Welcome to BucosLocker. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, ratchet, share all the videos. Uh, don't forget to hit the notification bell icon to notify you all new videos that's posted on this channel. What's this, day number 4 now? Oh my gosh, I am doing it. Day number 4, right? We 4 days in. When I started today, Monday. See, yesterday, Saturday, then day on Friday, isn't it? What's day number 3? I'm gonna keep going. Every day, dropping the video around the same time, between 4 and 5 o'clock Central Eastern Standard Time. 3 to 4 o'clock Central Standard Time, Mountain Time, 2, 3 Pacific, 12, 1 o'clock. I say, ooh, baby. No, I love you. You're my everything. Oh my goodness, Ratchet City. I know y'all saw that girl. That girl ratchet as hell. You feel me? That girl ratchet. I say, ooh, baby. So, more Bucs conversation. More talking about the Bucs. I want to know, what's the ceiling for the Bucs? What's the floor and what's the ceiling? Right? Is our floor and ceiling dependent on Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield, or is it dependent on the entire team? How much pressure, when it comes to the Bucs record, you put on Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield? That's the question. Now, we've seen Todd Bowles at the New York Jets. He had one winning season and 2 5-11s. So far, Todd Bowles is 1 for 1, 1-1, 1 winning season and 1 losing season. He had 3 years with the New York Jets, and this is year 3 with the Bucs as the head coach. You got to make a jump. How much pressure, how much weight does the Bucs carry? How much weight does the Bucs record carry when it comes to Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield? Now, if the Bucs were more of a complete team, then this wouldn't be a question. But being at the fact that the Bucs have a terrible running game and a tight end group is irrelevant, and pass defense, in particular cornerbacks, not great. Because if the Bucs were a little bit better in pass defense, a little bit better in the run game, and a little bit more explosive in tight end, I believe the Bucs can easily win 11 games. But the problem is they just got holes. They got too many question marks going into the season. This is not to say that the Bucs can't win 11 games, but I'm just saying going into the season, if you just look at the facts and the reality and the question marks, the head coach, the quarterback, running game, pass defense, how can you really make a bold statement and say they're going to win a lot of games? Now, I'm not saying they can't, but how much do you put on Todd Bowles? How much faith do you have with Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield? Now, let's keep this in perspective. Todd Bowles, as the Bucs head coach, is 17-17. Regular season, 2 division titles, which is great. But when you script everything down, look at the facts, 8-9 and 9-8. Both years he won the division was by tiebreaker. So last year the Saints finished 9-8. They lost some crazy games, and we lost some crazy games, but we got them in the tiebreaker. And then the 8-9 season, the same thing. So we're not dominating the division. We can't clearly say now. We can say the Bucs are favorite to win the division, but can you clearly say that? Because here's the sentiment, right? The sentiment around the league with the Bucs is the Falcons made the upgrade. The Saints gonna always be a tough out for the Bucs, right? They're kind of like, because they scrappy, right? And here's the deal. If the Bucs were dominant in the NFC South, this wouldn't be a problem. People wouldn't get so upset with the media and the fan bases when they say, "Oh, it's up for grabs." Do you understand why there's mixed reviews when it comes to the Bucs winning the NFC South? Do you want to know why there's so much hype with the Falcons signing Kirk Cousins and saying that he's the best quarterback in the NFC South? Which if you just look at the body of work, yeah. As much as I don't like Kirk Cousins, but the body of work, he is the best quarterback. And before anybody say I'm hating on Baker Mayfield, no, I'm not. Once again, Baker Mayfield is not terrible. I'm gonna keep saying that because some of you don't understand that part. But in the reality, as far as body of work, Kirk Cousins is the better quarterback. Or let's just say, I know some people say, well, Baker Mayfield got 2 playoff wins. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Bucs got 2 playoff wins. The Bucs have a playoff win with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, and the Cleveland Browns have a playoff win with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. So we saying that the reason why the Bucs won the playoff game and the reason why the Cleveland Browns won the playoff game is solely because of Baker Mayfield. Is that what we're saying? See, I don't equate wins and losses in particular at the quarterback's feet. Because if we do that, that puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Because what happens if he doesn't win? Then it's the reason why the team is not winning is because of one player. Now, granted, the big percentages, it does matter. Quarterback play does matter. But to literally fix yourself and say the reason why the Bucs won the NFC South or the reason why the Bucs beat the Eagles at home is because of Baker Mayfield will be asinine. Wins and losses is not a quarterback stat. Don't let the media fool y'all. So when it comes to quarterbacks, I look at the body of work. What did you do on the field as far as production? Kirk Cousins is way more productive than Baker Mayfield. More productive than Derek Carr. More productive than Bryce Young. That's just a fact. So with that being said, if I'm saying if the Bucs ceiling is it's highest Baker Mayfield, then going into the season, what is the ceiling? If Baker Mayfield is attached to the Bucs ceiling, that means wins and losses. What is it? Be realistic. Look at the body of work going into the season. Look at last year. Going into the season, look at the player, look at how he plays and stuff like that. And you add the head coach. Because if you look at it, the head coach quarterback combination, where would you put Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I want to know. Because, this is the quarterbacks, right? Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Kirk Cousins, and then Baker Mayfield. This is a ranking from Pro Football Network. They got Baker Mayfield at 17. Do y'all agree with that? They got Baker Mayfield in front of Jared Goff. Jared Goff at 18. Deshaun Watson at 19. Caleb Williams was at 20. Geno Smith at 21. Derek Carr, 22. Anthony Richards, 23. Russell Wilson, 24. Justin Fields, 25. Jalen Daniels, 26. Daniel Jones, 27. Aiden O'Connell, 28. Jacoby Brissett, 29. Will Levis, 30. Bryce Young, 31. Sam Darnold, 32. Jarrett Stidham, 33. I'm just asking the question, folks. They got Baker Mayfield at 17. Caleb Williams is 3 spots behind Baker Mayfield. Let that sink in, folks. JR Dot, I'm kind of with you on that one right there, man. I think that's where we're going to probably end up at. You know what I'm saying? It's as of right now, that I'm kind of looking at the same situation. I'm kind of looking at it exactly. I'm just looking at it. However you're looking at it, we might look at it from a couple of different point of views, but we all end up in the same. Me and JR Dot kind of got the same sentiment. We kind of got the same outlook. You feel me? If the Bucs were a more complete team, maybe it wouldn't be so much confusion. Like one football ranking had the Bucs team number 9 as far as team rankings. Then the other team rankings from other media members had the Bucs in 2022. So there's not a lot of guys putting the Bucs in the top 10 as far as team rankings. But there's more media members. There's more of a feel around football communities that the Bucs is not a top 10 team. I think most of us can agree with that. Let's just be real. Because if the Bucs were a clear top 10 team, then there would be consistency around the football community, the NFL community, as far as top teams. But unfortunately, there is no consistency when it comes to the Bucs. When you look at these rankings, it's all over the place. But for the most part, a lot of the guys got the Bucs ranked between 15 and 22. And there's not a big difference between those teams. A little bit of here, a little bit of there. But back to the Bucs ceiling. If Baker Mayfield, Pro Football Network, I like the website, they got Baker Mayfield at 17. That sounds about right. And do we agree? I mean, they got him in front of Jared Goff and Deshaun Watson. And I understand why he's in front of Deshaun Watson. Now, the Jared Goff situation, I don't like Jared Goff, but I think Jared Goff has been more productive and actually has won, got to Super Bowl, playoff wins. So I will probably swap Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield. I will probably have Baker Mayfield at 18. Kirk Cousins at 16. Kirk Cousins is in front of Baker Mayfield, which makes sense. But if you look at it, and what's so crazy is when you look at 13 through 19, there's not a huge difference, right? 13 is Jordan Love, and they're looking at him from far as upside perspective. And then Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa at 15, Kirk Cousins at 16, Baker Mayfield at 17, Jared Goff at 18, Deshaun Watson at 19. So there's not a huge gap between 13 and 19, but you can kind of play checkers with those quarterbacks right up in there. You get what I'm saying? You can play checkers with the quarterbacks from a productivity perspective, right? And if you want to go by their best seasons, then of course, then that's how you want to do it. But I'm looking at it from a productivity standpoint. Once again, wins and losses is not a quarterback stat. Okay, well, let's make that clear. Let's get to the football conversation. Let's get out of the feelings and trying to make a narrative. Wins and losses is not a quarterback stat. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. Wins and losses is not a quarterback stat. This conversation, when it comes to quarterbacks in my world, in my locker room, it's about productivity on the field. So you can play the checkers game with the quarterbacks between 18 and 19. I mean, 13 and 19. But as far as productivity, when you look at the quarterbacks, from 13 is Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence is 14, Tua Tagovailoa is 15, Kirk Cousins is 16, Baker Mayfield 17, Jared Goff 18, Deshaun Watson 19. From a productivity perspective, because I find it interesting that sometimes the media can brainwash football fans to repeat the same thing, which is not really true, because that's basically you're just disregarding the other 21 players on the field, offensively and defensively, starters wise. So let's just put it from a productivity standpoint. Let's get rid of the wins and losses, because that's not an individual stat, right? This is not tennis. This is not boxing, right? This is not track and field. This is a team effort. So wins and losses is a team effort. Do we agree with that? Do we agree with wins and losses as a team effort? Everybody contributes. So let's just put that in reality perspective. So let's get back to the productivity. I'm okay with Baker Mayfield being 17. I'm not tripping. Now, those of you that want to put Baker Mayfield, 10, 11, 12, 13, state your case. I'm more than happy to hear your case on why Baker Mayfield is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. What's your case? From a productivity perspective, not wins and losses, productivity. I'm just asking. If you got Baker Mayfield in the top 12, between, if you got Baker Mayfield 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, even 15, state your case. From a productivity standpoint, that means on the field. On the field, productivity, third downs, deep throws, turnovers, red zone. If you want, you could throw in the yards and then yards per game. From a productivity standpoint, state your case on why Baker Mayfield is in the top, the second tier. That's in front of the Tua Tagovailoa, the Kirk Cousins. Now, mind you, Jared Goff is behind Baker Mayfield. Now, I'm not even a big Jared Goff fan like that. But from a productivity perspective, Jared Goff has been way more productive than Baker Mayfield. Just straight up productivity. I'm just asking. I'm just curious. I don't want to ruffle no feathers. I'm just saying Baker Mayfield is 17, ranked 17 on Pro Football Network. Which sounds about right, middle of the pack. I don't think Baker Mayfield's upper echelon or tier 2 quarterback. I think he's the middle of the pack. That's his ceiling. I've never seen Baker Mayfield as a upper echelon quarterback. He's never been that. Not one point of Baker Mayfield's career, he's been a upper echelon quarterback. That's tier 1, tier 2. Not one year at all. So it goes back to the question: if let's just use Pro Football Network. If Baker Mayfield's at 17, And if the Bucs ceiling, as far as record wise, is tied to Baker Mayfield, and we'll do the Todd Bowles head coaching ranking in a second. We're just having a conversation. It's just conversation. This was just conversation. This not set in stone. This is the discussion. This is, I'm trying to do this 10 days in a row. I'm trying to have a video 10 days straight. We're just having a conversation. Don't get your panties in a bunch. Don't get mad at me, all this, because you're not gonna win. I'm not trying to hear that. I don't want to embarrass anybody in the comment section, none of that stuff. I'm just having a conversation. Don't get mad at me. We got to have something to talk about, right? For 10 days straight. This is a conversation. Okay? I want to make that clear before anybody getting mad and, he's hating on Baker Mayfield. He's trying to down the Bucs. No, we're just conversating. That's all. I'm just giving scenarios and conversations as far as reality and productivity and the ceiling of the Bucs. If Baker Mayfield's at 17 as far as quarterbacks, then what is that? How does that tie in with the Bucs ceiling? Because if you say Baker Mayfield is the 17th ranked quarterback according to the Pro Football Network, because people like to use Pro Football Focus, PFF, they love using that to make their argument, or they like to use ESPN or NFL.com or NFL Outsiders, whatever site you want to use. But in this conversation right here, because some of these sites, they get outrageous with the rankings. Like, wait a minute. It was so interesting. The NFL Network had the top 100 players. Baker Mayfield's not even a top 100 players. So how is he a top level quarterback? If this is voted amongst players, if the NFL top 100 players is voted amongst players and coaches, and there was no sign of Baker Mayfield, so how can you be a top level quarterback when you're not even in the top 100 as far as players? How can you be a tier 1, tier 2 quarterback when you're not even in the top 100 players? We're talking about players. We're talking about all the positions. You're not even in the top 100. So you're not a top tier quarterback or tier 2 quarterback. And you barely might be a tier 3. You're probably more of the middle of the pack tier 3, which is kind of like lines up to the 17th ranking out of all the quarterbacks. Now let's keep this in mind, folks. We're talking about the overview of this conversation. We're talking about the ceiling for the Bucs. If it's tied into Baker Mayfield, if he's at 17, what's the Bucs ceiling? Because if the Bucs ceiling is directly tied to Baker Mayfield, what is that? Average? 17 is, well, we got 32 quarterbacks starting. 17 is slightly below average. Because 16 is average. If you're ranked 16, that's right in the middle. That's average. That's 500. That's right in the middle. Smack down the middle. 50-50. 16 is 50-50. 500. And if anything below 500, that means you're below average. If the average is 16, right in the middle, if you split it down the middle, 16, 32 quarterbacks, 16 average. You're not even 16. You're 17, which is you're slightly below average, which means it goes back to what JR Dot said. Shout out to JR Dot. 8, 9, 9, and 8. Maybe a 10-7. Maybe. But we have to get lucky on one of them big games. Y'all know that. We got to win one of those big games. Do I need to go down the schedule? We haven't even got the Todd Bowles ranking yet as far as head coaching rankings. Because if Baker Mayfield is 17, I am very curious to pull up Todd Bowles head coaching ranking. I'm going to find, it's just conversation. I'm going to pull it up and see where do they got Todd Bowles at? Because I've seen some sites have Bucs ranked at 20 as far as team ranking, then the roster ranking, and then you had, we went through the receiver rankings. We went through that. We went through the defensive, like, we can do this. We can do this for the next couple of days, folks. This ain't hard to do. It's just conversation. In the write-up on Baker Mayfield enjoyed a career best season in 2023, completing 64 0.3% of his passes for 4,044 yards, 28 touchdowns with 10 interceptions. He finally looked like a player both good and mature enough to lead a franchise. That said, Mayfield needs to repeat success before we can rank him in the top half of NFL quarterbacks. What I've been telling y'all. How can you rank a player at the top or at the right below that when he hasn't had back-to-back seasons like this? 4,044 yards, 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 8 years in this, 7 years in the league, first time hitting 4,000 yards. Barely in 17 games. Never had back-to-back successful seasons at quarterback as far as productivity on the field. Never been a high-end productive quarterback putting points on the board, red zone, third downs, yards per game, yards per attempt. Never been that type of quarterback, which explains the contract. He's not making $40 million a year plus. I remember some folks, if I'm not mistaken, this is not directly at bashing Baker Mayfield and that. This is just reality. There was some Bucs fans that say, "Oh, Baker Mayfield should make $40 million. That's what the league is paying the quarterbacks, $40 million." And what did the Bucs do? $30 million. Y'all want me to repeat the contract breakdown? The contract basically matches his productivity on the field. Let me pull up the contract for y'all. I'm gonna pull it up for y'all right quick. I want y'all to understand how this contract's structured. Matic, what's up? 3-year, $100 million upward contract worth up to $115 million in incentives. $50 million guaranteed. Now, if y'all want to break this down, if y'all want to break this down simplified, $50 million guaranteed divided into two is what? You can spend it how you want to spend it. These are facts. The pay, it lines up with where Baker Mayfield is as a quarterback according to these rankings. Because if he was an upper echelon quarterback, first tier, second tier, or top three, tier 3, he'll be making more than $30 million a year as far as average wise. Don't get mad at me. Jason Light wrote the contract. John Spivey, Mike Greenberg, they did the contract. And they based the contract on Baker Mayfield's productivity on the field. It's average at best. The contract is not even average. Because if he's supposed to be making $40 million a year, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's the starting pay for quarterbacks, right? In the NFL. Why is he not making $40 million, folks? Three-year deal, $50 million guaranteed. Divide that into two. Let's make this simple, folks. The average salary, as far as just 3 years, $100 million, is $33.3 million. That's not even average when it comes to upper echelon quarterbacks. Tier 1, tier 2. I'm just kind of keeping it real with y'all. I mean, I ain't trying to, ruffle any feathers and nothing like that. The contract matches Baker Mayfield's productivity on the field. It does not talk about wins and losses. It talks about product. The contract literally breaks down as his productivity is on the field. Base salary next year is $30 million. 2025 base salary, $30 million. 2026 base salary is $40 million. The Bucs have a potential out in 2025. Let that sink in, folks. The contract is the contract, folks. Don't get mad at me. The Bucs have a potential out next year. If Baker Mayfield don't look good this year, in 2024, the Bucs can walk away in 2025. Now, what upper echelon or tier 2 quarterback you do that with? Zero. So my question is, when it comes to the Bucs ceiling, factor in Baker Mayfield. We're gonna get to Todd Bowles in a second. Factor in Baker Mayfield's productivity on the field, his wiry play, his moxie, his swag, and all that. The contract is literally average. And if you just push that into the Bucs record and say, okay, if Baker Mayfield's at 17, that means out of 32 teams, the Bucs record can be 8, 9, 9, and 8. Once again. Now, here's a hypothetical. If the Bucs finish the season 8, 9, 9, and 8, what happens with Baker Mayfield? We'll get to Todd Bowles in a second. Baker Mayfield cap hit is $35 million in 2025. John Spivak, Mike Greenberg, Jason Light did a great job with Baker Mayfield's contract. A cap hit of $6.9 million in 2024. In order for Baker Mayfield to get the big money in 2026, the $40 million, he got to have another good year. Back-to-back years, 2024 and 2025, which that means that'll be an extension probably added on to that too. But let me repeat this contract. $6.9 million cap hit in 2024. All right. 2025, potential out, 1 year, $30 million. I've never seen an upper echelon quarterback get paid that type of money. That's did they lowball Baker Mayfield? I'm just asking. Did he get lowball? $2026, $45 million cap hit, $40 million salary, base salary. Then they added a couple of more years in 2027, 2028. But the Bucs have a potential out in 2025. I want y'all to keep that in mind, folks. 2025 is literally a 1 year, $30 million contract. In order for Baker Mayfield to get that money, which he will, next year contract is 1 year, $30 million. And after that, the Bucs can walk away. If you're rooting for Baker Mayfield, you kind of want him to have another good season. Now, if he puts up another season like this, like he did last year, then we're talking about 8, 9, 9, and 8. Baker Mayfield needs to have an elite season. When I say elite, the numbers need to be a lot better. Matter of fact, you can keep the touchdown interception ratio, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. But the productivity, red zone, third down, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, the productivity got to be higher. He got to push 45 to 4,700 yards. But has Baker ever done that? This is what I was going back to. I was telling y'all that the best version of Baker Mayfield that I want to see is with the Bucs with a way better running game. I think Baker Mayfield will be a lot better player with a better running game. I just do not see Baker Mayfield, and this is my opinion. Don't get mad at me. This is just my opinion. I just don't see him as a 4,700 yard, 4,800 yard, 30-something touchdown type guy. And if he does that, 47, 4,800 yards, 30-something touchdowns. We're talking about 15 to 19 interceptions because he's throwing the ball more. That means the running game is not good. And Baker Mayfield needs the running game. So it goes back to the question, what's the ceiling for the Bucs? One year, $30 million contract next year. That's it. The Bucs got out. Shout out to Jason Light. Shout out to Jason Light for putting the Bucs in a situation where we did not overpay for Baker Mayfield like the Giants did Daniel Jones. The cash breakdown is basically he's $30 million this year and then $30 million next year. No signing bonus next year. Well, I think yeah, he does get a signing bonus. It's prorated. It's $5.7 million, but he got $40 million guaranteed at signing. He got $40 million up front, guaranteed. Well, I said up front, but guaranteed. That's a signing bonus of $5.7 million, 2024 salary, and $10 million of 2025 salary. Now, don't forget now, some of that money is incentive based. $10 million becomes fully guaranteed the fifth league day of 2025. Injury guaranteed at signing. $5 million in annual incentives. I'm just giving it to y'all. Man. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at Jason Light for not paying him elite level quarterback money. But it basically goes back to what I was telling you about Baker Mayfield. He's average at best. The contract. It's not me, it's the contract. I'm not banging on Baker Mayfield. I'm looking at the contract. I'm just saying, folks, let's get to this head coaching ranking. Because we're talking about the ceiling for the Bucs with Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles running the show. NBC Sports. Let's see what NBC Sports got Todd Bowles at. Oh! So let me give y'all how NBC Sports did this. All right, here we go. Andy Reid, number 1. Sean McVay, number 2. John Harbaugh, number 3. Kyle Shanahan, number 4. Mike Tomlin, number 5. Matt LaFleur, number 6. Dan Campbell, number 7. Sean McDermott, 8. Zach Taylor, 9. Kevin Stefanski, 10. Mike McDaniel, 11. Kevin O'Connell, 12. Sean Payton, 13. Mike McCarthy, 14. Nick Sirianni, 15. Doug Peterson, 16. DeMeco Ryans, 17. After 1 year? And guess who's number 18? Todd Bowles. Career record, 43 and 58. Last year, they had him at 23. So he moved up 5 spots. So if Baker Mayfield's at 17 And Todd Bowles is at 18. What does that tell y'all, folks? Just conversate. Just conversate. Let me reiterate that. And then the write-up on Todd Bowles. How hard has Todd Bowles in NFL luck been? The man got a losing season out of Tom Brady. Damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, taking shots at him already. Of course, when you are conservative as Bowles, bad luck tends to follow. That's why it's so surprising to see Bowles allow Wiz Kid OC Dave Canales to let it rip with Baker Mayfield in 2023. The result was Bowles' first ever division title with a winning record and one of the most genuinely surprising NFL campaigns in ages. Now comes the hard part. Canales is gone, and they're running it back with outlier quarterback campaigns has a way of falling instantly. Let me repeat that. That part right there. Canales is gone, running it back with the outlier quarterback campaigns has a way of falling instantly. It's going to take another strong effort on both sides of the ball after the Bucs permitted the 7th fewest points in 2023. A laconic leader, Bowles won't need to say much if he takes care of the defensive business and lets new Sean McVay disciple Liam Cohen operate with a similar degree of autonomy to Canales. So what they're saying is Baker Mayfield had an outlier season. With a quarterback outlier quarterback campaign has a way of failing instantly. That's not glowing remarks about Baker Mayfield. They said he got a losing season with Tom Brady. Taking shots at the man already. Then they made it seem like Canales was really like that. I'm just having a conversation, folks. We're just talking. This ain't not, we're just having a conversation. Todd Bowles at 18, Baker Mayfield at 17. Going into the season, Todd Bowles, 18th ranked best head coach. Baker Mayfield, 17th best quarterback. And the write-up for both people, the write-up on Baker Mayfield and the write-up on Todd Bowles is kind of accurate. Even last year, people thought it was surprisingly that the Bucs did what they did. So they don't believe us. They don't believe in Todd Bowles, which is understandable. 43-58 as a head coach. 17-17 as the Bucs head coach. 2 division titles, a playoff win. 1-1 in the playoffs, 2 division titles, 17-17 as a head coach for the Bucs. Ranked 18th in the NFL by NBC Sports. Does that sound about right? Does that sound about right? Pro Football Network got Todd Bowles at 21. Pro Football Network got Baker Mayfield at 17th best quarterback, and Pro Football Network got Todd Bowles at 21, the 21st best head coach. Is that about right, folks? Todd Bowles between 18 and 21. Is that about right? I'm just asking a question, folks. They got Dan Quinn in front of Todd Bowles, Shane Steichen in front of Todd Bowles, D'Amico Ryan in front of Todd Bowles, Zach Taylor in front of Todd Bowles, who has a losing record as a head coach. I'm just asking questions, folks. I'm just asking. Dan Campbell, losing record as a head coach. He in front of Todd Bowles. What are we doing here with Todd Bowles? So one site had Todd Bowles at 18, another site had Todd Bowles at 21. I'm just asking the question, folks. Is that about right for Todd Bowles? Now, mind you, the Bucs are a top 10 team, but the head coach is not even ranked in the top 10. The quarterback not ranked in the top 10. So how is it the Bucs are the top 10 team? I'm just trying to add this up, folks. I want to believe this, but I'm trying to figure out if the Bucs really like that, why are they not ranking the Bucs across the board? Head coach, roster, quarterback. I'm just trying to figure this out, folks. Can anybody help me out? I'm really trying to understand because the Bucs was ranked. One person had the Bucs ranked ninth best team in the NFL, and I was like, okay. But then when I start digging in the crates, when I start digging it in, I'm like, okay, Todd Bowles is not top 10 coach. Baker Mayfield not top 10 quarterback. The roster not top 10. So how in the hell the Bucs top 10 team? I was confused. I'm still confused. I'm being serious, folks. I'm being serious. I'm so serious in my triple G voice. Serious. Can't be serious. I'm confused. So I'm on the Panthers Wire, their website, and they got the coaches ranking, right? They got Dennis Allen at 32 on Panthers Wire website. Shout out to Panthers Wire. They got Dennis Allen at 32. They got Todd Bowles at 26. Really, Panthers Wire? Really? Let's see what they got Dave Canales at. 24. Seriously? Panthers Wire got Dave Canales at 24 in front of Todd Bowles. Come on, man. Come on, man. Panthers Wire funny. Seriously, man. Come on, man. I'm gonna have Dave Canales at 24. Oh, wow. That's bold as hell, ain't they? They bold for that. Panthers Wire. Come on, man. Stop playing with me. But yeah. Does that sound about right when it comes to Todd Bowles? If the Bucs ceiling is tied into Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield, where does that put the Bucs at? I'm just asking a question, folks. Don't get mad at me. I'm just trying to figure out if the Bucs are a top 10 team, then why don't they have a top 10 coach and top 10 quarterback or close to it? Can anybody explain that part? I just want to know, folks. I'm just trying to figure out, like, if the Bucs are top 10 team, then at least the head coach need to be top 10 or the quarterback or the quarterback, right? Because to be a top 10 team, something's got to be at the top 10. Something needs to be in the top 10. Head coach and or quarterback. And the Bucs have neither. So one site they got Todd Bowles at 18, and the other site they got Todd Bowles at 21st, and the Panthers Wire got Todd Bowles at 26. So when you look at it, just saying, I mean, middle of the pack, which means if Baker Mayfield middle of the pack, Todd Bowles middle of the pack going into the season, that means the Bucs are middle of the pack going into the season, right? Or am I wrong? I'm just trying to make sense of this ranking situation. We're not even a top 10 roster. Well, we're a top 10 team, though. We don't even have a top 10 roster. Are we a top 10 team? Top 5 roster. I remember those days, man. I remember when the Bucs had a top 5 roster. What happened? So they had the coach of the year odds, right? So they brought some the coach of the year odds, the betting odds for coach of the year. Todd Bowles is ranked 30th at plus 5,500. But he a top level coach. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to figure this out, folks. I'm confused. Why they doing Todd Bowles like that? Huh? Why they doing Todd Bowles like that? Why do you think Todd Bowles is not getting the respect being a above average head coach in the NFL? 2 division titles, playoff win. I'm just trying to figure this out, folks. I think we need to have more conversation about this. And this ain't making no sense. They have Todd Bowles on the hot seat list. I don't know, man. I'm confused. Anyway, very interesting conversation. But none of those sites have Todd Bowles as above 15. None of them. I'm just saying, folks. Gotta win 10 games a minimum, right? Because another 9-8 season, 8-9 seasons, like, oh man, we ain't going nowhere. We spinning the wheels. The Bucs need to make a jump. They gotta get out of this 8-9, 9-8 rut. I think that'll be another conversation for tomorrow. As far as let's dig into Todd Bowles a little bit, as far as what he need to do as a head coach. What can he do to secure himself and not be in these discussions? Anyway, thank y'all for joining this episode of BucosLocker. I'll be dropping another video tomorrow around the same time, between 4 and 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 3-4 Central Standard, 2-3 Mountain Time, Pacific Time, 12-1, 2-ish. With that being said, folks, leave your comments in the comment section. What's the ceiling for the Bucs? Todd Bowles, Baker Mayfield running the show. It's early in the offseason still. Well, not early, but we're in the middle of the offseason. We'll have another video tomorrow talking about this again as I do my quest to 10 straight days of videos. I've never done this before. I'm going to give it a shot. With that being said, fire those cannons, seize the day, raise the flag. Hashtag hype. BucosLocker signing out. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Deuces.